How are you guys? And let's revise together again. And our today's pot of call is the specimen paper, like the 2018 specimen paper, Heritage Studies paper 1, multiple choice 4006. Sorry, it's 4006. That's the syllabus code, stroke 1. So since it was a specimen, I think they were like testing the waters too, because there are a couple of errors that are there in terms of number 27 is missing, if I'm not mistaken. Then there are some questions which were not crafted well. I'll explain to you. But be as it may, I think something like 97% of the paper is cool, is fine. So I'll try to answer accordingly. So just like always, whenever you're dealing with the paper 1, I would also try to explain some concepts because there are some who are polishing their revision, and there are some who are polishing but they have some gray areas which they need to be cleared. Vane mamwe maareas ekuti anenge asina kunyatsokubata, so mumwe macho mandokwanisa I'll be explaining so that you can grasp some of the concepts. So without wasting much of your time, guys, let us go into number 1. So it's number 1 to 40. 27 is missing, right? But I will try my best to deliver the goodies. Number 1, socialization process begins when a child A is born, B becomes an adolescent, C begins to walk, and D is still in the mother's womb. So the correct answer is socialization begins when a child is born, although D is, like I said, whenever you're dealing with multiple choice too, there will be some options will be like in the same wavelength, but there is always the best answer at the end of the day. But I also feel like socialization even starts in the mother's womb, because wakabona kana kuti mwana ane kamwe kaku. I was talking to my doctor umwe musi achitanzi there are 3 types of human species. There is the male, the female, then a pregnant woman. Kuti mukadzi kana atori nenhumbu haasitori mukadzi, haasitorina like zvaanenge achiita, mamudzu, chikafu nechi zvinokontrolwa natsano kana mainini vari mudumbu, So of course our answer is panozvarirwa mwana ndo panotangira socialization process. That's true, but I also feel like socialization yekwana inotangira mudumbu. Okay, that's food for thought. But okay, the correct answer and the most sensible answer here, and according to the syllabus, it's A. So in Zimbabwe, most people belong to number 1, Christianity and Rastafarian religion, B, Islamic and Rastafarian religions, Christianity and indigenous religions, then D, Islamic and Rastafarian religions. Our answer is C here. Most people here in Zimbabwe belong to Christianity and indigenous religions. Then number 3, the benefit of ICT in socialization is that it, number 1, reduces the world into a global village. 2, reduces the eagerness to work. C, promotes a high crime rate. D, interrupts the distribution of information. So I think the correct answer here is it reduces the world into a global village. So that's where the aspect of globalization comes through, and it is being like enhanced. Globalization is being enhanced by technology, and that's a fact. Yes, what am I saying? You can, let's say you are here in Zimbabwe, you can easily communicate even on a WhatsApp video call with someone who is in Egypt, or who is in, I have a friend who is in India. He's no longer a friend as such, he's now sort of a brother. His name is Niraj. I call him Jason too. He's in India. So that's part and parcel of what? Of globalization. So whenever I'm chatting with him, it's either when we're chatting on WhatsApp or via video call, I feel like we are like in the same room, So it reduces the world into the global village. That's ICT for you. Within 2 seconds, you would have communicated with someone in Scotland. So that's one of the major benefits of ICT. So which of these in electronic media? A, billboards. B, computers. C, newspapers. then D, posters. So electronic media ndechona tirongoti zvinhu zvekuti chinoda magetsi kuchitanga oshanda apa ndopanzi electronic media. Ese media but panzi electronic, so the correct answer is computers, which is B. Because mabillboards kungoturika paya manewspaper aritori newsprint, then maposters vagare ipaper again. So number 5, a family consisting of a father, mother, and children is known as number A, child-headed, number B, monogamous, C, polygamous, D, single parent. This one is bread and butter. The correct answer here is monogamous, right? Number 6, which situation requires voluntary community service in rural areas? When you talk of voluntary community service, tokutaura nezvevanhu vanovolunteer kana kuti vanoda nemoyo wavo kubatsira, but zvanzi in the rural areas. So A, building shops for businessmen, B, construction of village water sources, C, building of individual homesteads, then D, working in resettlement farms. So zvanzi which situation requires voluntary community service. So pari kutonzi voluntary, it means munhu ari kuda kushanda nemoyo wake asingatarisiri kuwana mari. Because obviously ukada kutobuild a shop yebusinessman unenge wakutoda beg, hapana patongonzi business ka wedre kungoti business uri kureva kuti mari is involved. Kutoti working in resettlement farm kungoti working chete, wedre kuti working rakadaro itori red flag, pakutoda mari. But kana zvanzi community service, because you cannot say building of individual homestead, you are not building for the community, then you are building for yourself. So the correct answer here is construction of village water sources. Then which of the following is a national identification document? That is number 7. We have a birth certificate, we have a birth record, we have the medical card, we have the voter's card. So Zavunz was which of the following is a national identification document? A national identification document here is the birth certificate. So which symbol is found on all national identification documents? So the 3 main identification documents that we have is the passport, the birth certificate, and the national ID. Oh, we also have the driving license too. So there is A, Zimbabwean bird, coat of arms, C, Zimbabwean flag, then D, Great Zimbabwe Monument. So the correct answer here is the coat of arms. It is also it's found on the ID, it's found on the birth certificate, it's also found on the passport. Thank you. So rain-making ceremonies are traditionally known as A, Zundera Mambo, B, Inimbe, C, Mukwerera, D, Bira. So their rain-making ceremonies are traditionally known as Mukwerera. Number 10, norms and values at workplace are threatened by, so A, commitment, B, integrity, C, stigma, D, transparency. So norms and values at workplace are threatened by what we call stigma. Stigma inyaya yekudzikisira vamwe ndizvo, kuderedzera vamwe. Pada pabasa panogona kuva paine vanhu who are living with disabilities. Pada pabasa panogona kuva paine vanhu vanobva kwakashorekawo kana kuti vanhu vanenge vaine ganda rakasiyana redu tovashora because of that. That's what we call stigma. 10C. So floods and droughts are usually a result of, that's number 11, A, disaster management, B, climate change, C, mitigation measures, and D, air pollution. So flood and droughts are usually a result of climate change. Then number 12, Ubuntu is best described by the following. So when you talk of Ubuntu or Umunu is described by the following: A, oneness, pride, integrity, and tolerance. B, so there's a combination of like 4 qualities, and some of them are bad qualities and some are good qualities. So you are supposed to look into you are supposed to choose the answer with 4 positive or good qualities. So A, oneness, pride, integrity, and tolerance. B, integrity, tolerance, respect, and humility. C, tolerance, humility, empathy, and oneness. D, respect, integrity, humility, and insincere. So our correct answer here is B. because B is giving us integrity, tolerance, respect, and humility, which are all positive or good qualities. There's no way you could pick C because C is saying tolerance, humility, empathy, and oneness. When you envy something or someone, there are connotations of jealousy. Let's say Murukushanda Pabas. Once you are envious over someone, it means you might be one more or less be jealous over their achievements or over what they have. So when you talk of D, respect, integrity, and humility, then insincerity. When you are insincere, it means you can't tell the truth, which is not a quality that we want here. So that's why we picked B, because it has it substantiates what Ubuntu entails. So 13, that one cracked my head a bit. So the setting of the age of consent to sex at 16 years has led to A, gender equity, B, decent marriages, C, white weddings, D, abuse of girls. So the correct answer here is D, because the abuse of girls, the explanation here is, because the question is saying the setting of the age of consent to sex at 16 years has led to like abuse of girls, and that's true, because at the end of the day, a 16-year-old is also sort of a girl. That's why I think this was in 2018. Right about now, I think they pushed it to 18 years, the age of consent in marriage. Because a 16-year-old is still a baby, still a child, in one way or the other, something like that. We cannot pick decent marriages thereof. Marrying a 16-year-old does not guarantee like decency in terms of marriage. 16-year-old, it's creepy, right? Yeah. We cannot talk of gender equity too. Why? Because we would have robbed a child of a future. They wouldn't have reached their full potential at 16. So getting people like allowing like children to agree to consensual sex at 16 might lead to abuses, yes, and that's a fact. So answer is 13D. Then 14, Musengabere is a form of marriage. Musengabere is a form of marriage has been greatly criticized because it A, violates women's rights, B, increases female trafficking, C, violates men's rights, then D, decreases female population. So the correct answer is it violates women's rights. So unofana kuchitoziya process yacho musengabere, because musengabere is sort of kidnapping. Handikuona vanhu vekudhara so yangotokaona pombi yako yaonakirwa naye ubva watodini, ubva watongodzvara munhu wotoenda naye. Chimbozvitraya izvozvi muna 2025 tokuvharira uchikurubiwa. Number 15, Zimbabwe can minimize loss of skilled manpower by what? Tingaita sei kuti vanhu vasabude vachienda kuna naAmerica nekuna nani? So A, improving its economy, B, reducing number of graduates, C, building more schools, and D, closing its borders. So the correct answer here is improving its economy, right? So that's the umbrella answer. Because even if you would say you have to build more schools, at the end of the day, for us to build more schools, you need an improved economy. The economy should be improved in one way or the other so that we can have the money to build the schools. So at the end of the day, we have to improve the economy. Once we build the economy and everything else, the rest will fall into place, Right. Number 16, religious leaders of the first Chimurenga, A, provided food for the freedom fighters, B, inspired the Africans to fight colonial rule, C, acted as baggage carriers, then D, collaborated with the settler army. The correct answer here is B, they inspired the Africans to fight colonial rule. Then number 17, which of these factors contributed to the Anglo-Ndebele War of 1893 to 1894? You need a historical scope. A, boundary issue, B, Jameson raid, C, abuse of women, D, forced taxation. So Jameson raid, abuse of women, and forced taxation are causes of the first Chimurenga. Our correct answer here is the boundary issue. I think you know the whites. They kept on changing the boundaries. In fact, the boundary was artificial because the Ndebele and the Shona, to some extent, had a peaceful correlation. If you would read some, maybe some of you haven't reached at, I also teach advanced level history. You know that some of the Ndebele respected the Shona spirits. You know, there were some intermarriages and stuff. So the whites tried to demonize that relationship so that they could find a loophole to justify colonization. That's why they kept on changing the boundary. And the Ndebele never gave a damn about whether they are changing whether the boundaries changed or not. Mandebele angasina basa nazo. Vanga vasingazvinzwisise zvekuti kune mabhodha nechii vanhu vaya. So concept yemabhodha chaiyo yakatoudzwa nevarungu because vaida inonzi divide and rule. Kuti ucontrole vanhu, you have to divide them so that you can rule them. So vakatanga kuisa boundary. Pakuisa boundary Mandebele bvatanga kucrossa boundary riya zvanzi maviolator boundary. Then bvatanga kutoarwisa. Ndo matangira akaita Angola Ndebele futi. So number 18, the contribution of the hunter-gatherer communities to modern societies zvaiitwa lesei nemabushmen nechiva kudhara vaya zvinobatsiridza sei modern society. A, use of indigenous medicine. B, stone carving skills. C, warfare tactics. Then D, iron smelting. So chinhu chihombe chavakaita chichiri kushanda munguva ino the indigenous medicine. Ndinogara Umbare kutone zvimusika zvinotengeswa maguchu nechichi, takazvidzidza kubva kuvakuru vakudhara. Number 19, the national shrine found in the western part of Zimbabwe is A, Chinoi Caves. B, Great Zimbabwe. C, Njelele. D, Victoria Falls. So pane inonzi elimination method kana tiri kumabhiza uko. Kana patonzi national shrine atori makuva kaya. So vana Chinoi Caves haasi makuva, kutogara tabvisa kudhara nana Great Zimbabwe nana Victoria Falls. Pane mamwe maanza unotoona kuti haasi kutopindirana nemubvunzo wabvunza. Zviri nani kuti usare ne2 ma-options or 1. Elimination method futi inoshanda, it's also good. So the correct answer is 19C, which is Njelele. Number 20, the national school pledge fosters A, feeling of rebellion. B, a spirit of patriotism. C, craving for Western culture. D, love for modernity. So the national pledge fosters B, which is the spirit of patriotism. Patriotism is also connotations of what you call nationalism, which is the love for one's country. So if you check on the words, or I don't know if they are the lyrics or the word of the national pledge, you find out that it's all about enhancing our patriotism. Right. Then number 20, the Zimbabwe Liberation War heritage site found in Zimbabwe is A, Tembwe. B, Nyadzonya. C, Freedom Camp. D, Chimoyo. The correct answer is Tembwe. Kuma Freedom Camps ndo kwainotrainera vana mukoma wedu nana sisi wedu munguva yehondo. Kusaidi rekunana Mozambique pane kwainzi kuNyadzonya nekuchimoyo kwakabhombwa mazuva aya. Nazvino kutone mamass graves akatoiswa ikokoko. Then number 21, the most important natural resource for Zimbabweans in the rural areas. Zvandakaitaura zviya kumabhiza mawedzi akaitonga na greatest ana slowest, those superlatives anotibatsira because kana pakanzi the best way ndizvo, it means pane nzira dziripo dzinenge dzapiwa, but the best possible way. Zvangofani kuti ndeipi the best possible way yekupreventa HIV and AIDS. Urubata zvandikuta so panogonoka pakanzi use of condoms, right? Then ponzi abstinence. So the best possible way is what is abstinence. Kugara watosiyana nazo completely, unenge wazviseva. Hanzi gunguo zvarakatya akafa mangani, ndo zvinotaura imwe shona. So the most important, hapanonzi the important, panzi the most, vapanzi pana rivers, pana minerals, pana land, pana beds. So the most important is what? Is land. Because amunoti ma-minerals acho anowanikwa muland, amunoti ma-rivers acho, they pass through the lands, So the correct answer here is what? Is the land. Number 22, why is it important for a country to control its natural resources? Why is it important for a country to control its natural resources? A, to allocate resources to people of the same ethnic group. B, to apportion resources to locals only. C, to sideline all foreign foreigners. Then D, which is our answer, is to distribute resources equally. Number 23, Zimbabwean citizenship can be obtained through A, descent, migration and birth, B, registration, immigration and vote, C, migration, registration and birth. The correct answer is also D, birth, descent and also by registration. Because unogononga wamigrata futi you can register to be a Zimbabwe uchiendera necitizenship nemutemo yecitizenship yekuti unogara munomu unenge wagara kuno kwemakore akawanda sei, so that you can be given a Zimbabwean citizenship. So ndoimwe nzira yaungawana nayo ndizvo. So number 24, the new constitution of Zimbabwe was enacted in order to, number 1, please the global village. So the new constitution was in 2013. So the new constitution, zvese new curriculum yatiri. So new curriculum that was around 2017, 2018. Because ndo pakatanga zvemakala zvezvo nechichi. So the new constitution of Zimbabwe was enacted in order to, number 1, please the global village, B, to do away with the xenophobia, C, suit the current Zimbabwean situation, then D, enforce black dominance. So it was C, to suit the current Zimbabwean situation, which is also the same reason why we have the new curriculum, the heritage-based curriculum too. And it's a homegrown curriculum. Zimbabwean problems, Zimbabwean solutions, something like that, you know. So number 25, the functions of Zimbabwean courts include, number 1, making laws, B, debating laws, C, policy making, then D, interpreting laws. The functions of the courts is to interpret the law. Hamugadzirwe mutemo mukoti, inotopinda yakagadzirwa kare yongointerpretwa nezvibaba zvinenge zviri mumeya zvinoita malawyer, zvimapp nemamagistrate nemajaji kana kuri kuhigh court. So the education policy of Zimbabwe, number 26, was A, encourages the bottleneck system, B, promotes racial discrimination, C, offers equal access to education, D, grants free education for all. The correct answer is C, it offers equal access to education. Parakunzi equal access, whether equal rukuradza kuti munhu wese, whether uri murume kana kuti pane mawedza akuti kana tiri kutsoro taitamba inonzi draft yatsoro ndizvo mazuva ano handichaitambi. Pane mamwe mawedza anonzi masunga 1 sunga dozen, kuti wedhi irororo kana riri paanza rinobva rapedza masports ka1. So it offers equal access to education. But kuti equal access to education, access to both men and women, access to both boys and girls, access to one wherever they live in with disabilities, access to everyone, you know. So number 28, number 27, ndoyandataura pekutanga kuti hapana. Schools can cater for albino learners by A, providing enlarged prints, B, using sign language, C, using braille materials, D, providing interpreters. So the correct answer here is providing enlarged prints, because people with albinism have a problem, if their eyesight problem. That's why I find that most of them put on those spectacles, right? It's for their eyesight, so they need enlarged prints thereof. So number 29, pakafuraiwa binza. Panzi civic responsibilities include A, transport, B, health, C, communication, D, allowances. Vanakataura specimen, so obvious watches chinhu chavanga vachitry vakaita mistakes. Hapana kana ma-civic responsibilities, because ma-civic responsibilities ndoyekuti iwo semunhu musociety ndezvipi zvaunotarisirwa kuitwa. What are your responsibilities? For example, paying taxes, for example, voting, for example, observing the law. Zvinhu zvakataurwa pama-responsibilities government. It's the duty of the government to provide the best health for its citizens, the best transport system. It is the duty of the government to offer communication. Government ndo inaona portals vaya ndo inana ICT ndo inokuita kuti muwane zvanana econet zvidata zvese zviya zvese nema-allowances anoonekwa nevashandi. So question yayo haisi kumeka sense, regatiite right off. Number 30, the following is a man's right in an indigenous society: A, the kitchen, B, granary, C, the land, then D, the mat. So the correct answer here is the land, right? Izvo zvinenge zvine chekuita nevakadzi stereki. Number 31, Zimbabwe's women's position has been improved through promotion of what? A, gender-based violence. B, discrimination at workplace. C, gender equity and equality. Then D, donations and charity. So women have kupiwa donations and charity. There's gender equity and equality. Women are being empowered. 32. An organization which is responsible for the conservation and the preservation of natural resources in Zimbabwe is called A, ACA, B, IPA, C, CSA, D, EMA. The correct answer is EMA, Environmental Management Agency. Right. Number 38. Which of the following is a challenge faced by the informal sector? Informal sector include those who are running those small and medium enterprises, and some of them have unregistered small businesses. So mdaapima problems anonyanyosanganikwa nawo newanawo. A, human resources. B, time management. C, communication network. Then D, capital constraints. Yes, even kutotanga mari yekutanga panike pastorina. And that's what is meant by capital constraints. Then 34. Polygamy was common in indigenous marriage practice because so zvebarika zvakanyanya kunyanya munguva yeonini yakudhara, time yakudhara. Why? A, it was a symbol of status. B, it was their duty. C, men were greedy. Then D, there was shortage of men. The correct answer is it was a symbol of status. That's why it was common. Zvaitovhairirisa kuti ndosaka papa netsimwe dzekuti anzo kuwanda uya umuseo wakapoterera pamuzukuru kutozvaraona wakawanda patime yatiri kutaura vaitoonekwa sebhuru zvaikosheswa zvaiereswa zvisingaiti. Right. Then number 35. Land degradation around Chiadzwa area in Manicaland province was a result of A, diamond rush, B, gold panning, C, copper mining, D, stone quarrying. The correct answer to is stone diamond rush. Yes. Kwachiadzwa kweduko kwainzi kushonje. Indigenous methods of conserving and managing natural resources include A, ndo patukupinza ka indigenous knowledge system. A, the magic. B, ceremonies. B, C, witchcraft. Then D, taboos. So the correct answer here is taboos. Zviyeraira tinozviisa kuti tichengetedze environment kuti ukaitira kana weti musango ubva wanzi pachivanhu inokutera weti iyoyo so ndo mataboos iwayo. Number 37. A pandemic which has posed most fatal threats to mankind is most fatal. The word fatal can be replaced with the word death. Kuti pazvirwere zvoda kupiwa apa fonde chipi chakanyanya kugurunura vanhu stereki. A, cholera. B, dysentery. C, Ebola. Then D, HIV and AIDS. So the correct answer is HIV and AIDS. That's a global pandemic. Stream bank cultivation can lead to A, siltation of rivers. B, land pollution. C, soil fertility. Then waterborne disease leads to siltation of rivers. Because pamuri kurima musaidi merwizi ivhu rinoslida richipinda mvura. Then at the end of the day our rivers will dry up. Right. Then tine number 39. Pane map iripo panapa ine key. Then vayabvunza kuti the continent with the highest percentage of child labor is what? Makanyanya utsukisa red, that's Africa. So that's 39D. Then 40, because Panzi Susu studied the map below which shows child labor in the world, and answer questions 39 and 40. Child labor ndoinenge tikada kudzoka kumafamilies kazhinji vanozoengage in child labor vanenge vari machild-headed families pasina vabereki kazhinji kana vashaya. So muAfrica ndo mune dambudziko irororo, you know. And number 14, suggest a reason why the continent you have chosen is the highest rate of child labor. A, there's poor governance. B, high employment rate. C, high rate of population. Then D, civil war. So the correct answer is poor governance. Nenyaya yekuti politicians anenge achitadza kunyadza kurana zvinhu across Africa, children who end up working, you know, children as young as 14 and 13 who end up working and fending for their families. So that's it, guys. I will look for another paper 2. Tombofamba nebhora tichazomboenda futi kuhistory, tichazomboenda futi kuFRS. Maarts yese ndinotsemura, even shona chambotsvaga kana 100 shona rekumbodai nekudai. Thank you and bye bye for now.